Tony Smith here. You're listening to the home of Marquette basketball. 94.5 ESPN is WKTI and WKTI HD Milwaukee.
A locally owned Good Karma brand station. It's time for the best 60 minutes of your life. This is the Homer Hour, broadcasting live from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All studio at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Alongside ESPN's John Anderson, here's Emmy Award winner Homer.
The John Anderson Homer Hour. I always enjoy it. This, I'm going to enjoy the most ever, I believe. Because I think he will put some accuracy to all this. And I'm speaking of the Super Bowl. I don't believe, aside from crazy Eagles fans, there's one person on the planet who predicted the Super Bowl properly. And by that I mean, one thought Philadelphia would win that easily. I don't remember anybody. And the Institute always loves to prove me wrong, so I look forward to hearing from that. And on top of that, there's more than that. No one, if they thought Philly was going to win, expected no running game from Saquon Barkley. None. Zero. If you had Philly to win, the number one reason was he was going to have a big game. He did nothing running the ball. Less than nothing. Caught a couple passes. And all this stuff about the great defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, listen to everybody for a whole week. No one said this was going to be a big factor, the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs. They moved a couple people now after the game. Oh, yes. They just messed it up. No one, not one person alive, analyzed the game the way the game played out. And if I'm wrong, John Anderson will let me know, the professor at Missouri right now. I still can't comprehend what I saw.
No?
No.
I think I heard a lot of people say that they thought the Eagles had a better team.
Correct.
I didn't hear a bunch of people say they would win, right?
Yes, yes,
the guile and the smarts and the experience of the Chiefs was going to carry the day.
Imagine the Packers winning 2 straight championships, and in the final one against the Cowboys, losing that way the Chiefs lost. This was a historic team with a historic quarterback, and they got. The Titanic did better, as I stated after the game.
But don't you think it was kind of like, and again, looking back so easy.
Yes.
They had been riding on this edge for so long.
Correct.
Right? They had been walking along the edge of this cliff with the wind blowing hard.
Which made you think that in a close game, maybe they'll finally pay the price. Instead, the analysis is now all you need to do against Kansas City is get way ahead, and they can't come back. That's the best anybody has. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, with Muhammad Ali, against Muhammad Ali, all you need to do is win the first 7 rounds, and then he can't come back. No, no one can do that. By the way, I just went Don Hudson. That's way too old. I don't know who to bring. Yeah, Michael Jordan. With Michael Jordan, all you got to do is get up 20 after the first quarter, and they can't come back. No one's ever attempted such a theory before, but they have to consider that because it's impossible to explain Kansas City.
I think. All
right, I'll let you talk.
So, unfortunately, I shouldn't say that. I just, where I sit now, I got nothing. I was inundated with Chiefs coverage, right? And they're kind of like the old George Wendt super fans on Saturday Night Live with the Bears, I think it will be 112-6. Like that's everybody's around here. I would like to have seen some of the Philly people see what they had to say in terms of what they thought it was or what was going to happen. I honestly thought that in the end, while I thought the Eagles were better, I kind of just thought Andy Reid is way better than Nick Sirianni. And that's where he sort this thing out. So I am surprised. I am not surprised. I'm surprised they did it. What they did is not surprising at all because that's handed won football games for 100 years. Wow, if I can take 4 people and just put your quarterback under duress and bury him for 60 minutes, then you're going to win. I don't need anything really fancy.
Well, wait, we're talking about a Hall of Fame quarterback who made no real adjustment and had some terrible interceptions. The fumble wasn't on him. And then you have a coach who's an offensive coordinator who's incapable of making any adjustments. This is not just the defensive line. You are talking about 2 historically, understandably so, considered maybe the best of their time, and they lost like, this is being from South Bend, they lost like Jerry Faust and whoever his quarterback was when he first came to know. I don't know who. Who's the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans? Come on. Patrick Mahomes?
Okay, so first I got to step on you here, okay?
Yes.
I watched Missouri lose to Jerry Faust, okay? So that's personal.
Sorry.
You were one of the 3 teams in the world that actually lost to Jerry Faust. So I'm not sure I'm over that just yet.
It was bad even, and I didn't know that. But I do want to thank you for giving Notre Dame Dan Devine. You left that part out. And you know why Dan Devine got the job? Because he beat Notre Dame when he was at Missouri, I think. That was usually the rule.
And then, by the way, Missouri went and beat him. They beat Notre Dame and Joe Montana 3-0.
Right.
But
anyway. He got a national title, so you get a national title. You're in the club and accept everything else.
You want to be talking about a weird place. You come here in Columbia, and Dan Devine is revered, and then I grew up in a place where he is reviled. Right, like it's just 2 different spots.
His dog is more famous than he is in Green Bay. But anyway, back to you.
By the way, I was visiting with our archivist here, and he was talking about, he said, the worst mistake Dan Devine ever did was leaving here. And I'm like, boy, do I want to second that. And I said, my dad, God bless him, he was the most wonderful man in the world, but I still don't necessarily think he has an airtight alibi for the night the dog was killed. I don't know for sure it was him. I'm just saying he doesn't have an alibi for what happened with Devine's dog. Listen, so we have all these Chiefs, and they come in, and I thought more than anything, I thought they would play better given the stakes, that you have this rare chance, right? It takes 3 years to get to the chance to win 3 in a row. And that's kind of what struck me, is that they seem to get punched in the nose immediately and not fight back in any way, shape, or form. And that to me was astounding, that they did have no answers. In terms of what you want to do, you say, well, what kind of adjustments you make? They tried to make some, and they still just ran over them. I just think it was a case of those 4 guys up front just destroyed any plan and any hopes the Chiefs had, regardless of what they tried to do. I would say the second interception wasn't really on Mahomes either. That guy, his offensive lineman got pushed right back into him and
wait a minute. We saw the play 2 weeks ago where he's diving forward and he's practically on the ground and he makes the pass.
But he's in control of that. He was in control of that. This one, the guy blocked him right into it. And just as he's throwing, his leg collapses and they move him. He didn't listen. Who cares if he has 1, 2? They were awful.
All right.
They were awful. He was awful. And eventually, it left his hands.
I certainly give Philadelphia credit, but I'm saying it's like, well, he had 23 yards in the first half.
They should get all the credit. How many times have you heard the whole thing like, well, do you think the Eagles played great or maybe the Chiefs didn't play well? The Chiefs didn't play well solely because of what the Eagles did.
No, they're not that good. I'm sorry. We're talking about a team that was going after a 3rd straight Super Bowl. I'm sorry. They're not that good to embarrass that team like they were the worst team in the league. No, they're not that good. I'm not buying that. No,
you've seen people get run down that.
Not historically successful teams. No, they don't get beat like that ever. Find a game.
Go to Tampa and tell me what the Raiders did to Joe Theismann and that Washington football team. Really good team, had won a Super Bowl, and they just whacked them.
Correct.
And beat them by 40.
They won 1. Hold on. No. They had won 1. This team had won 2 and 3 in the last 4 years. That Washington team, that you can't even put them in Kansas City's league. They had 1 year. They were trying to go after number 2. Imagine if the Redskins had won that second one and then got beat by 40 in the third one. Then you'd have a story.
My point is that you can get run out of the gym like that. And it's not entirely because you were undeserving, you're terrible. They managed to get through the entire AFC again, which is a hell of an accomplishment. Now you just maybe ran into something that you couldn't, an avalanche you couldn't stop in that case. So yeah, I don't think they are not the team that they were when they won the last two. That's clearly they were inferior to those two teams. But I don't know that getting beat like that is we decide that they're terrible and they were horrible and they weren't good.
No,
that's what I feel like you're saying. Like they didn't deserve it. They were terrible. They were embarrassing. Yeah, they had an embarrassing game that day.
Hold on. By the standard they had set as a football team, yes, they were horrific.
But doesn't okay?
No, teams that good at the level they were at, they aren't horrific. And what'd they do this year? How many games did they lose this year? Even if they were close.
I believe they lost 2.
Yeah.
And one was when they played all the scrubs. I just don't know that I just don't know that I'm going to throw them entirely under the bus, that there's some sort of fraudulent group.
No, right, I put them under the bus for being destroyed, not for losing. As I would say to everyone, that's why you all appropriately, when you picked Philadelphia, picked it close. Not because you didn't respect Philadelphia, but because you didn't think Kansas City could play like the New York Giants.
Or the Jets.
Or the Jets. Team. Nicely done. And no one did. And you can't. So then either you say Philadelphia is this incredibly good, which, by the way, is why, other than the Packers winning the Super Bowl, I want these two teams to play again. I want to see it again next year.
Who it is? Who's the one?
No, I want to see those two teams play. I think Kansas City is way, way better, and I want to see if Philadelphia is that good.
Don't you think championship games are riddled with teams that we thought were pretty good, and on that day end up getting just hammered?
Again, I want to emphasize, not with ones that had won 2 in a row, and was it 3 in the last? This does not happen to them. They're a different team. They were treated as such, appropriately so historically. This does not happen to such teams. Ever.
But it can. Sure it can.
Sure it can. Never had.
Nobody's been in that position before.
Go on.
But despite the record, nobody thought
Packers were in that. Packers were in that position going for 3 in a row. Like New England. New England
a little apples and oranges there, right? But look at that last team that the Packers had. Okay,
yes.
You're going to go back there. We're going to go back to Don Hudson.
Their weakest championship team ever, by far. Yes.
What was their regular season record? They were lucky.
8-4. Yes. They should have lost to the Rams in the postseason and George Allen's team. Yes.
Right.
But that's what historic teams do. They don't collapse.
So your problem with them is just that they ran out of the building, and so
you can't be that bad. Like, again, Michael Jordan. You will hold Michael Jordan to a standard in which you'll say, no, Michael Jordan can't do that. He can't go 0 for 12 from the free throw line. No, why? He's Michael Jordan. All of a sudden, everything said about Kansas City is tossed to the side, and you can't. So how did they lose that badly? I say they lost that badly because given their level of excellence, they were horrible. Yep. And the Eagles were really good. And I think it's possible the Eagles might be better, but they can prove it next year. Because next year, they're going to be the favorite. Everybody's going to expect excellence from Jalen Hurts. Who thought that they could stop the running back, this running team? This is the greatest running. He did nothing. 0.
Oh, see, and I disregard.
What?
That's just because. So you're going to just take us because he had 60 yards.
No, he had like 30 yards or 41. He had like 2 yards to carry. No, because that was the foundation of the team. As you said and everybody said, for them to win.
No. So,
you thought they could win. You thought they could win if he had that few yards rushing. Not a chance in the world.
I think that the fact that, and by the, after the way it got away from the Chiefs, because you had the two big defensive plays, I think he served his role well. Like I sat there and I was watching the game a couple times. I said to these people, I know he's only got 2.5 yards, but as long as they can keep pumping it to him, he's in good shape. As long as they can keep pumping it to him, and they gave him whatever it was in the end, maybe 15 carries, which was enough.
2.3 yards per carry.
Totally fine.
Totally fine.
Because they handed it to him enough. They never, despite his carries, they never went away from him.
You thought Hurts could throw that well, even if he could not run the ball.
Yes, and part of the reason he threw it that well is because they still did that. First off, look at what he did in the last Super Bowl against Kansas City Chiefs. Jalen Hurts played great.
He did, yes.
Right? In both Super Bowls, Jalen Hurts has played great. So, I thought he would be good. And I think, it would have been, I think if they're going to win, you're going to go, Saquon Barkley's going to have 100 yards, just as sort of the standard. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they were able to keep handing it to him, even at 2.3 yards, whatever the number is, they never had to go away from him. They were never in a spot where, like, okay, he's not useful. I thought he was as useful as they needed to be. I did chuckle the first hang. I'm like, wow, he only got 2 yards. Usually he gets 65 on those, And I think if it had been tight, they would have continued to lean on him and everything. I thought he did all he needed to do. Was it eye-popping? No, but he was still in that offense. They were still keyed up on trying to get to him, and that gave Jalen Hurts all kinds of other things that he could do.
Oh, fine.
Even though that first fourth down where they get the interference, the offensive interference, because as you know, the Chiefs get all the calls. They don't throw that if they don't go, they're going to hand that to Saquon Barkley. He's really useful. I'm not saying he's a decoy. I'm just saying that he served.
Okay, he was a decoy. Was there anybody on the planet Earth? He wasn't a decoy?
No, Walter Payton was a decoy. When the Bears beat the Patriots, Walter Payton was a decoy. Still one of the greatest crimes ever. I don't think Saquon Barkley was a decoy at all.
Okay.
No, not at all. I think they used him. Was he as productive? Did he have, eye-popping runs? No.
He had nothing. He had nothing.
He had just enough. He had enough what he needed to do.
All right.
So you decide that he's got to have some arbitrary rushing figure for him to do it.
Given the Saquon Barkley who played this year, he was totally a decoy, and that's another amazing part. He was no more than a decoy, and Hurts still made all the plays to get all the points in addition to the turnovers. You don't think he was a decoy? All right, let's put that up. No. You don't have to. Discount Liquor Twitter poll question: was Saquon Barkley running the ball? Was Saquon Barkley running the ball a decoy in the Phillies offense? I want to make sure it's put perfectly. I know you made yourself clear, but I mean, is the question right? I want to make sure.
Means you put him out there and never give it to him. They gave it to him plenty.
No, right? A decoy is to get you to think that you're going to do that and do it well, and that opens up everything else. That's what a decoy is to me.
Right, but then you're purposely knowing you're putting him out there. But they didn't. They didn't go, okay, we'll put him out here and we'll move him around, but we'll never give him the ball. They gave him the ball.
I know, but it didn't serve any purpose other than to open up other things because it was a decoy. All right, now
he carried it 20. No decoy carries a ball 25 times. 25 times. I'm looking. 25 times is not a decoy. 25 times means we're running the offense around you, dude. No, was he successful?
You wouldn't score a single point with that as your anything but a decoy.
Ridiculous. How many times did they say they go like as long as the Cowboys or name the team runs the ball 20 times or 25 times,
right?
They can win the game. It's not attached all the time to yardage. The fact that they never had to go, they gave it to him 25 times means he was in the game. He wasn't.
That's a great. I'm going to check to see Emmitt Smith in these Super Bowls. How many carries and how many yards? 25 carries for 57 yards and no touchdowns.
With everything he needed to do.
You might as well have. I don't know who the running back is.
Anybody? You show me another decoy who carried the ball 25 times.
All right. So for 57 yards. No, in that game, not over the course of the season. They've done it so well. Did you
25 is way more important than the 57.
So
you're hung up because of the end. If it's 100 yards, then you're fine. 25.
What? No, 25 I would. 2.3 yards per carry is horrible. Just enough?
Wasn't great.
What, 1.9? So 25 carries for 37 yards would have been enough. That's what you're saying. 25, how low would it have to be where you'd be bothered by the yards? 25 carries for 10 yards. Would that be too little?
If they're going to give it to him for 25 yards, 25 carries like this, then he's an integral part of the offense, and he allows me to do everything else I want to do in that offense. And that's what they did. Even if he didn't have a huge rushing total, that he got to carry it 25 times, allowed them to do whatever they wanted to do on offense.
Wow. Okay.
Would have loved to have seen 120, but the fact that they didn't go, he was so bad that they never abandoned him. If he had been miserable, if he had totally not been working to what they needed, then he'd have 11 carries, not 25. They're like, it's okay. We can still keep pounding the rock. We can still keep moving ahead. We're going to do this, and he's going to open it up so we can throw to Dallas Goedert. He's not a decoy. He's actually a part of the offense that you actually had to keep paying attention.
He's the decoy. He's the decoy part of the offense. We don't have to have Barkley. Yes, if you assume that he had to get yardage to be of value, then you can hold this. But no one thought, not one person alive said, just as long as he gets the carries, it doesn't matter what yardage he gets, their offense will be fine. And not one person, again, go look it up if you can find somebody who said that. No, he's got to gain yardage because that's a significant part of their offense, right? Not the carries, but the yardage, right? Isn't the yardage all year long?
Sure, yardage is important, but you're not always going to blast people off the line all the time. The fact that you could still give it to him 25 times is, in the end, in this game, that became more important than the yardage.
And I will remember this because you know why? It's going to be brought up multiple games for the Green Bay Packers this upcoming season. And you will bring it up. I wonder how many times the professor will bring up, hey, Barkley carried it 25 for 57. Well, yeah, the Packers did the same with Jacobs, but they only scored 12 points. What was the difference? What will the difference be when it doesn't work that way for the Packers? 25 carries. Like, what the hell are you running the ball for? He can't get anything. I think we've had this discussion before, but
I think you can find, and again, you can use.
Yeah, I'm going to look up. No, I think Super Bowl.
How many times you go look at how many times teams win if they win the turnover battle and they're able to carry the ball 25 times.
Win the turnover battle. I want to know how many times. No, I want to know how many times a team wins when their star running back has 2.3 yards per carry. I would say never, other than this one. But Jason will get a vote as well, and then I'll get to calm down. And Jason Wilde and the professor John Anderson, and I will be quiet. Next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on 94.5 ESPN.
Southbound on 41, backing up from Silver Spring all the way down past Capitol Drive. Got the northbound side slowing down right past Burleigh as well. Southbound 43, backing up from Keefe down through the Marquette down to the KK River crossing. Northbound's heavy from Kilbourne all the way up past North Avenue. On westbound 94, we got some backups basically from about 25th Street all the way to Hawley Road. And the eastbound side is backing up as well as you're making your way from about 76th Street all the way to 35th. Southbound 894, just heads up, just past National Avenue. Looks like we've got an accident off on the right shoulder. Traffic is brought to you by Racine Danish Kringles, now offering a heart-shaped Kringle with pink icing and raspberry, chocolate silk cherry, and pecan flavors. Order at Kringle.com or call 1-800-4DANISH. And check the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast. Tonight, increasing clouds, a low of 17. Tomorrow, winter storm warning starting at noon. Snow likely 6 to 9 inches for most, a high of 27. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
All day, every day. The Carbless Talk and Text line is open for you.
First off, there is not one team that's on the fringe that scares me.
800-990-3776. The Carbless Talk and Text line. This is more.
Earth Justice is a national legal nonprofit fighting to save lives, protect our climate, and strengthen our economy through the shift to zero emissions. Visit us at earthjustice.org. Earth Justice, because the earth needs a good lawyer.
Hey guys, Josh DiMaggio here. Don't be like me and wait till the last minute. Valentine's Day is almost here. Impress that special someone with a handcrafted bouquet from Flowers for Dreams. Order a bouquet online at flowersfordreams.com or visit their Walker's Point location. Use code ESPN at checkout for 15% off your bouquet, or this year, try something new with tickets to their date night open studio workshop on Friday, February 14th. Every Valentine's bouquet benefits an amazing local Milwaukee charity. That's flowersfordreams.com, code ESPN.
So many of our youth carry unimaginable burdens. Anger, depression, even thoughts of suicide. At Rawhide Youth Services, we recognize their pain. We help them find hope and healing. For those that need a second chance at life, we refuse to give up on them. Please be a part of our life-saving work. When you donate your used vehicle to Rawhide, you're helping change the lives of countless youth in our communities. Go to rawhide.org/donate and help them realize a brighter future today.
American Family Insurance is a lot like Captain America. He protects the world.
It's just doing my job.
And we help protect your dreams with amazing auto and home coverage. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com. And see Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World.
Suit up. We need to move.
In theaters February 14th. This film is not yet rated.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hey, it's ESPN Milwaukee's Kyle Wallace for Universal Windows Direct. February is here and love is in the air. But if you're not in love with the way your home feels this winter, Universal Windows Direct has the perfect solution with their Love Your Windows sales event. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and there's no limit. Need 4 windows, you pay for 2. It's the perfect way to save big while upgrading your home. Schedule your free in-home estimate or visit universalwindowsdirect.com, and like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Get the beat of the Bucks straight from a fan favorite and Bucks legend.
Welcome to the fantastic voyage. Marcus Johnson, the captain of this vessel.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson, a Bucks Plus audio production.
My first mate, Chris Johnson, the only father and son tandem.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks and conversations with the biggest names in basketball. This week on the pod, it's all about the NBA trade deadline with Marcus and Chris. Find Here District now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, or wherever you get your podcast.
This is the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN. It's time for Jason Wilde on the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
And yes, there is a person alive who nailed the game. Andrew Brandt, Eagles 31, Chiefs 16. Mahomes will have one of the worst games of his career. 1 and counting now to the Professor John Anderson with Jason Wilde.
Is that the Packers' own Andrew Brandt?
Yes, it is.
He's a Philly guy.
Yes, it is.
That's our guy.
That's about the only influence you could hold against him, that he was influenced that way, but that wouldn't be fair. Incredible.
And I bet if you asked him, he would tell you that Saquon Barkley was perfectly fine, even though he didn't have this giant rushing total. But the fact that he got 25 carries, was in part of that offense the entire game, then he was fine. And he would also say he's not a decoy. Jason Wilde, can you be a decoy and still carry the ball 25 times?
No, you cannot. That's preposterous. They just did a great job of defending him. It was the only thing that the Chiefs defended well, but they defended him well.
And yet 25 times, right, I feel like they defended well, but he was still integral to the offense and everything else that they were able to do because they were still able to leverage him the entire way.
Of course, and you can't.
How do you leverage someone at 2.3 yards per carry? Explain that to me.
Because they obviously went into the game saying we're not going to let Saquon Barkley beat us, and they succeeded because everybody else beat them instead, including Saquon Barkley in the passing game. I mean, if that throw from Hurts is leading him on the one that he bobbles, he probably scores a touchdown on that play. So Saquon Barkley, when you run for almost 2,500 yards, including the playoffs, he is definitely more than just a decoy. And more importantly, if you're a defensive coordinator, you are going to say, look, we can't let this guy run all over us. I mean, I don't know what his numbers ended up being in the Packers playoff game against them, but Saquon Barkley is a field-tilting player. We all know it. And if he's unproductive, it means that your defense has geared itself towards stopping him, and it has created other vulnerabilities elsewhere. Come on, Homer.
What? That's all just made up after what's happened. And there's no one who believed that they could win the game and have Barkley do nothing running the ball. No one. Not a person alive said that because they knew that. So Philadelphia, proved they had other people that could do it. No one believed it could happen. And 26 yards for 26 carries for fit. No one. Find me someone. There's no one.
How many times do we say during the Packers season that if they're going to win, they have to just make sure that Josh Jacobs carries it 20 times? Nobody said he's got to carry it for 20 times an X amount of yards.
And how many? Hold on. And how many times during the season do they say, "Why do they keep running the damn ball and get 2 yards"? How stupid is that?
Nobody. I don't know that anybody said that.
I got to find the past shows. All right, you guys take it over. I'll look for Emmitt Smith in the Super Bowl.
Oh, Jay, he's really upset about this, Jay. You can tell. He's just,
I can feel it. Exactly.
No historic running back for a season has ever done so little in a big game and had the team win so easily.
Why are you even having this argument? I mean, they blew them out 34-0 at one point. Like, what? Why are you arguing about his
because they did it in a manner
contribution?
that no one thought possible. That's the point, which no one seems to want to admit. No one believed it could happen that way, except maybe Philadelphia did. They probably thought they could pass the ball if necessary. But you can't make it fit the scenario of how great a running back he was all season, which he was. In this game, he did nothing. And yet they still won in a manner that no one have thought was possible, even if he did a lot because he was that historic in the season.
Again, so we're just going to argue as to what constitutes nothing. And you say 2.3 yards is nothing, and
Correct.
I say 25 carries is something. So that's where we are right here. You say 2.3 is nothing. I say 25 carries is something.
2.3 is nothing when you have a historic running back who has one of the greatest seasons ever. And the team is where they are as much because of that as anything else, probably after the defense.
Josh Jacobs had 2 games where he had 43 rushing yards, including the win over Miami on Thanksgiving night, in which he averaged, wait for it, 2.3 yards per carry. And the Packers still won the damn game. And he was as important to what they did as what Saquon Barkley was to what the Eagles did. But their quarterback was better than Jordan Love this year. And when they played each other, obviously there was a lot of rust for Jalen Hurts, so he didn't play at the level we saw him play against Washington or against Kansas City. But, sometimes the same thing with Tennessee. The week after they gave Josh Jacobs 32 carries for 151 yards to beat Indianapolis in that first game without Love, Tennessee came into that game and said, we ain't letting Josh Jacobs kick our butts up and down the field. He had 43 yards in that game, and the Packers still won the game.
We're not talking about Miami and Indianapolis. We're talking about a 2-time Super Bowl championship team that was, I think, second in the league best in defense in points given up.
What were they in rushing defense?
I don't know.
Oh, you're the one arguing this.
No, I know. All I argue is points. Doesn't matter where the yardage comes, one or the other.
But they won the game 40-22. So what does it matter how they got the points then if all that matters is the points?
Because it matters on how you analyze the game and how incredible it was that they could do this with using the star running back as a decoy, which no one predicted, no one thought possible, and I give him credit for it. But you can't say it's anything. No, he was a decoy. You can't say it's anything but amazing.
Give him the ball 25 times and say he was a decoy.
When you get 57 yards.
Yes. A decoy would be someone that is out there running downfield on deep balls and never gets the ball thrown to him.
All right.
That would be a decoy. That forces you to defend him even though you're not giving him the ball.
Right.
You can't give a guy 25 times and say he was a decoy.
You're forced to defend him with Barkley because he's a great player, and you stopped it. before the game had started, if you had said Barkley's going to be held to 57 yards and 2.3 yards, you would have picked Kansas City to win the game, and everybody else would.
Right, but you can't call him a decoy.
Okay, well,
you can say that they won
is?
in a manner that you didn't expect them to win, but a decoy would be you expect them to give him the ball a bunch, and they give a bunch of play-action fakes, and he touches the ball like 9 times. That would make him a decoy. When you're touching the ball 25 times, you're not a decoy. A decoy, by definition, is someone. It's like when in Hoosiers, Norman Dale is initially drawing up the play. He's going to use Jimmy Chitwood as the decoy, and they're going to have someone else take the last shot. And then his team looks at him and goes, "You're an idiot, old man. Give Jimmy Chitwood the damn ball."
They ran
That's a decoy.
They ran 62 plays.
Right.
Saquon Barkley had it 31 of those. I don't think that you can have the ball.
That's
with
exactly
the half of your offense through him and say he was a decoy.
So what is he? So then what's the word when he does nothing?
I don't think he. You decide 2.3 is nothing. I think he did plenty. He carried it 30.
Okay,
he was.
What if
31,
okay? All right. What if it had been a yard ago? At what point?
Okay. All right. All of our time is more valuable than this.
All right.
Let me just say this.
You guys
understand.
As my daughter would say, just sit there and be wrong in your wrongness.
I'll accept that.
The touchdown pass that makes it 34-0 in the third quarter is a perfect example of the level of dedication the Chiefs defense had put towards stopping Saquon Barkley. It's the reason that play, some might say he was a decoy because they faked the handoff and then went over the top and threw a 40-some-yard touchdown because the Chiefs were so hell-bent on stopping him. It opened other stuff up, and you're acting like this is some sort of revelation that you're right. I would not have expected. If you would have just said, would you have thought that the Eagles would win the game with Saquon Barkley carrying the ball 25 times and only managing 57 yards or whatever he ended up with? I would have said no. It would have indicated to me that the Chiefs did a hell of a job stopping the best running back in football. Instead, they got blown out. So that would tell me that despite their dedication to shutting down a great running game, they didn't augment that with being able to handle the passing game, and they clearly didn't. So this should be a lesson to all teams with really good running backs that if a team decides they're hell-bent on taking your best threat away, which, by the way, was what Josh Jacobs was for the Packers this year, you better have other guys and you better have a quarterback that can take advantage of that. And the Packers too often didn't do that. And that's the reality of this decoy debate.
Well, we will. I'll concede defeat, and I will also remember all the games that we have this year in which it's going to come up all the time about how many carries he gets when the offense can't score. Why are you still running the ball? And the answer is always going to be the Super Bowl. Right? That'll be the answer every game, right? Every game. You keep giving them the ball. They won the Super Bowl because they did that, right?
I would say that. Go ahead, John. I'm exhausted.
The thing is, they were never forced to go away. They could continue to pound it even at 2.3. If they go 2.3 and give up after nine rushes, then they say, "Uncle, let the Chiefs defense win." They didn't. They kept going. We're going to be fine. They kept going. Every once in a while, he'd bust one off for 7 yards because he had one that was backwards for 6 or 8 yards. And so they kept going forward with him. And so they're just because you gave him 180 yards doesn't mean you win the game. It's because you give it to him 25 times every day. It might not be always the recipe for success, but in this case, they never had to leave the game plan that they wanted, which was to feature Saquon Barkley to the point that they could give it to him 31, that he could touch it 31 times. They never had to come out of what they wanted to do offensively. And as long as you can do that, then the running back has been successful.
Jason, would you like to add anything? Or would you like that to be the finish of that topic?
I think we've said all we need to say.
We may have exhausted this.
No, so I know we're late, but that's all right. So is there anything that...
Don't we have to run a commercial to go to... Don't we have to go golfing in Ireland or something about now? What's going on?
No. You disappointed that we haven't had that commercial? I think they're over, but I can do it again. I'm not adding to that. Thanks, Jay. I'm not adding to that. Thanks, Jason.
Aaron Gobraya. All right, guys. Take care. Be good.
Next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up on ESPN Wisconsin. Join Homer on the trip of a lifetime to see the many shades of Ireland in August. Text Homer to 800-990-3776 for info.
Kevin Moret here for Mentality. Listen up, gentlemen. You're fighting an unfair battle. Studies show testosterone levels in men have plummeted by 25% in just 2 decades. That's why you're struggling with energy, muscle, and drive. But here's a game changer. Mentality's FDA-approved treatments boost testosterone by 30% on average. Imagine reclaiming the vitality your grandfathers had. Picture turning heads, dominating your career, and feeling unstoppable again. Don't settle for today's normal. Seize the day at mentalityhealth.com/radio. That's mentalityhealth.com/radio.
Southbound on 894, we do have a crash. It is just south of Greenfield Avenue. The right shoulder is blocked, so watch out for delays back into the zoo. On the eastbound side of 94, slowing down from Highway F all the way through the Barker Road area to Moreland Road. Back on the brakes just east of 84th Street through the stadium. The westbound side's backed up out of the Marquette all the way past Mitchell Boulevard. Southbound 43, kind of a hefty ride there, too. We got backups from Keefe all the way down through the Marquette interchange down to Lincoln. Celebrate Valentine's Day at the Knickerbocker Hotel. Indulge in luxurious rooms with breathtaking Lake Michigan views and enjoy intimate dining at the Nick Bar and Restaurant. Visit knickerbockeronthelake.com to book your stay. And check the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight. Increasing clouds, a low of 17. Tomorrow, winter storm warning starting at noon. Snow likely 6 to 9 inches for most people. A high of 27. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
The wait is over. Brewers baseball is back. Time to pick your Brewers games and get back to the ballpark for tailgate traditions and walk-off wins. Be here for opening day. Come back for the big games and the best giveaways. Where else would you want to be? Brewers tickets for the 2025 season are on sale Friday. That's opening day and every game, all summer long. Get on board for the show today. Tickets on sale Friday at Brewers.com.
Save big during Menards Race to Savings Sale. An 8-pack of 100-watt equivalent LED light bulbs is just $3.99. 76-count Tide laundry pods, only $16.99. Dots Homestyle pretzels are just $4.99. Plus, buy a 10-pack of Bird suet cakes for just $8.99 and get a suet cake feeder free. These great deals won't last long, so save today. Plus, sign up for Menards emails to get more big savings right to your inbox.
Save big money at Menards.
UW Credit Union presents the Student Athlete of the Week, supporting local student athletes as they grow on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. UW Credit Union is here for every you. Learn more at uwcu.org. Here's Ashton Rotman with the UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week.
This week's UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week is Dominican High School's Aaron Womack III. The senior basketball standout etching his name in state and school record books by passing the 2,000 career point threshold. The 6'6" Womack is racking up the big stat lines this season, including back-to-back games with 96 total points scored. He's averaging over 30 points a game this season, which is of course impressive enough in itself, but he also puts in the work on the boards, averaging 11+ rebounds a game. Womack is hoping to propel Dominican to the state title for the first time in his career. And when it comes to the next level, Womack will be playing Division I basketball next season for Syracuse. Congratulations to this week's UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week, Aaron Womack from Dominican High School.
Looking for a totally rad flavor adventure, brochachos? Look no further than Surfer Boy Pizza as seen in Stranger Things. Each mouth-watering variety contains rich tomato sauce, delicious mozzarella cheese, and a gnarly range of toppings. The crust is crispy on the outside and airy on the inside. You'll think it was hand-tossed by the Surfer Boy Pizza dudes themselves. Look for it in the freezer aisle at your local store and buckle up your taste buds with Surfer Boy Pizza.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
Homer the Professor, John Anderson. In how many games this year, John? Josh Jacobs averaged less than 3 yards a carry?
Couple. They won a couple of them, too.
One. Only one. 2.26 against Miami. 19 carries, 43 yards. But,
and they won.
And yes, they did win that.
And they won. Hey, listen, on the shows I've done, I've been fortunate enough to do here.
Yes.
Some of the pregame shows. And our boy Balagi, you ask him. You go ask Balagi, if you can run the ball.
Yes.
And keep running it. It's not always a function of how many yards that you have.
Well, but
it's can you continue to run it? And they
right.
continue.
But
to
you know
run it.
why they continue to run it? They didn't care how many yards they got. They were so far ahead. They just wanted to use the clock. I mean, that's as far as the game. It was 40 seconds off the clock. They did not care. Right? I mean, it's
you go
24.
First half when that game was in doubt.
Yes.
When you go look at the first half, the game is in doubt still into the first 20 minutes.
How many times did he run?
I think he had 11 or 12. They kept handing it to him.
But I'll concede defeat.
They kept handing it to him.
Yes, I'll concede defeat because we don't have that much time
Here's
left.
what I want to know.
And
when you look at the Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
When you look at the Super Bowl champion, what did they have that the Packers did not? I see better quarterback play and a defensive line that the Packers can't match. What do you see? What did the Eagles have that the Packers do not? As they go into the offseason and say, if that's what it takes to win a Super Bowl, what did they have that the Packers don't?
Significantly better at wide receiver. That would be one.
Okay.
And two would be the pass rush. So, but to me, it's more, like how do they do it? The guy has 2 rookies they drafted. This emphasis. What did I learn from the game? It always has been and always will be about general managers. Goody's good, not good enough. There are people that are better, one in Philly, and now you have to address beating Philly. Just to get to a Super Bowl, you're going to have to beat Philly. Who doesn't think what could happen to Philly that would make them not the favorite in the NFC? Unless you think this was just a total fluke. So now it gets even tougher for the Packers.
I think you could make a case that if the Lions' defense is healthy, that might have been a game. So
yes,
I think there must be some thought that I think as the reigning Super Bowl champs, yes, you get the nod, but I think people would go when the fine folks of Vegas start putting things out, and they probably already have. I bet the Lions and the Eagles are pretty close.
I think so.
In terms of
but I'm saying in watching that, I thought it just got tougher for the Packers. I mean, the Packers are good. I heard, but I'm not. I don't see how they get atop the NFC. It just got even tougher than I thought. Unless you,
I don't think that's a new character, right? They were already ahead of the Packers.
Correct.
They beat them twice, and you were like,
right.
You were going to raise them. You'll be like that, unless you just think that there are now 2. I mean, if you want to call the Lions that, there are 2 teams that are elite that they have to go through. I don't know that the Vikings can repeat their success again.
I wonder about Washington too.
Yeah, we'll see where they improve. I'm anxious to see how that happens. I'm not entirely sold that they come back to be.
I'd agree.
I feel like they're a little like the Packers. I don't know if they can be 12-4 and win a playoff game again like they did last year. I think they're very much what we thought the Packers were this year.
All right, we have the fourth quarter. We won't talk about carries. Next.
The Homer Hour is back after this on 94.5 ESPN.
Ben Brust here because you need to win the ultimate Valentine's Day prize courtesy of Welke's Milwaukee Florist. To register, go to welkesdatenight.com for your chance to win a bouquet of flowers courtesy of Welke's Milwaukee Florist. On top of that, spend a beautiful night in the city watching Milwaukee basketball take on Miami on February 23rd. Register to win a wonderful Valentine's Day prize courtesy of Welke's Milwaukee Florist. That's welkesdatenight.com. Register now through February 12th.
Watch the Bucks on broadcast TV. It's Giannis versus Ant-Man when the Bucks take on the Timberwolves on WMLW The M. Dame looks to make it rain in the Twin Cities and shut down the T-Wolves in their own backyard. Don't miss a second of the action on WMLW The M. Broadcast Channel 49.1 and watch select games on Broadcast TV all season. Go to WMLW.com for a full schedule and how to watch. Bucks, Timberwolves, Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on WMLW The M.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Freddie Coleman.
It was not only the best thing for people who did not want to see Kansas City get a three-peat by losing to the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 59 over the weekend. It was the best thing for an NFL that does not need any more help when it comes to how popular their league continues to be. Over 126 million people, with a peak at close to 136 million, watched a Super Bowl, which is the highest-rated Super Bowl in the history of Super Bowls being televised. Kansas City not making it a three-peat was the best thing for the National Football League. Think of the storylines now. Can the Chiefs get back there and right that wrong? Will the Philadelphia Eagles be on the other side waiting for them? And now we got a trilogy that not a lot of people saw coming involving the Chiefs and the Eagles. How much motivation is Patrick Mahomes going to be the Patrick Mahomes that we're used to seeing? Not saying it would have been bad for the NFL. The Chiefs are three-peated. Hey, history is history. But now having that and motivation with your marquee team, only good comes out of that for the NFL. In 60 seconds, Luka Doncic's first game in L.A. was...
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Early on, he did look like a fish out of water. I hate using cliches, but that cliche applies to Luka Doncic's first game in the Los Angeles Lakers uniform when they beat the Utah Jazz last night. It cannot be easy for a young man that never wanted to leave the Dallas Mavericks, had just bought a $15 million home, and then a week later, he had to find a new home in Los Angeles. But the minute the game kept getting further and further along, he started to find his Luka legs. He started to find his Luka being. And the Lakers were really, really good making sure, as LeBron James says, don't worry about fitting in. Just make sure you don't fit out. And he got more and more comfortable. This is going to be his team in a couple of years. And the first step happened last night. LeBron knew it. Luka knew it. Everybody knew it. That first step was going to be something for the Lakers that could be a great thing for their future, especially now in the present when they're trying to win games and be a playoff team. For the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, I'm Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio's Freddie and Harry.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
The Professor John Anderson. I should leave it open to you on anything. Doncic, I think the Lakers could win the NBA title. They got to get a center. I have no idea why.
Center,
Dallas could win one too if Anthony Davis could stay healthy, but I don't know that he can.
Right.
Go ahead.
Every time he goes down to the floor, that's 6 to 8 weeks. That's the old joke, right? Anthony Davis has got a chip on his shoulder this season. He'll be out 6 to 8 weeks.
That's good.
He's always every time he goes down, it's back to the locker room and he's out a month. He can never play. So I'm more worried about that the best player for the Bucks is out at least through the All-Star game.
And Tony Smith has told me the calf injury is nasty, really nasty. You think they just last forever, and they're really, really bad and tough. Because I just think of a calf. Come on, it's just nothing. These guys have calves that are about the size of a spoon or a fork, and he said it's you don't want to hear about somebody getting a calf injury.
Yeah, susceptible to re-injuring. That's
I don't know.
Hard.
Did you have calf injuries at 7'2½"?
Not too many, but you get a strain, you got to be careful with it. That's for sure. It's not as bad as a hamstring. I hate to see Chris Middleton go. He was as great as Giannis was, right? You need that Drew Holiday and now Chris Middleton are gone. That hurts. They were such really smart, good players, good community guys. I hate that those two guys are gone. That breaks my heart. I don't know that they got especially better with either of those deals either. I don't think they can contend with the teams that are in there, and that hurts me. Good news is we're only the first spring training game is in 11 days. I don't know if you're counting that down.
People seem worried about the Brewers, and I just have incredible confidence in their ability to judge talent, and I don't exactly know how they'll do it, but every year they seem to do better than expected. Is that fair?
Yeah, they continue to exceed expectations at every turn. You just wonder when will that kind of managerial magic, because I think Counsell was that way, even though he's a horrible, awful trader. Who's going to a team now that they still are trying to break even money wise. Poor Cubs, just trying to scrape along on a budget. I did like that. Like he's over there and like, really? I came over here if you're Counsell, and now you're going to tell me that I don't have the budget. I just lived with that for 9 years when they come through. But I would like to see. I hope Cheerio goes out this year and just is a super duper star, because I think they're on the cusp. I worry without Adames and some people to maybe at his age still bring him along, that they'll need somebody to kind of take that role, that mother hen role with him. But you're right. They'll figure something out. They'll get to 80 wins. Can they get to 90? That's where we'll determine if they end up in the playoffs. And anymore, by the way, in the playoffs, it doesn't matter if you get to like 82. They'll let you in. They let anybody in these days.
No, yeah, but I think the National League is over. I don't see how you can beat the Dodgers, and if any team could do it, it'd probably be the Mets. And if people are upset about the financial situation in baseball, the union's so strong. They never had a salary cap. They just had a huge tax. And it never, the teams are paying it, but there was no guarantee they win. I'll take the Dodgers against the rest of baseball.
Yeah.
And the key there is the Japanese connection where they're located. It's given them an edge, and they've wisely used it. So you can have baseball. I got the Dodgers, sadly.
That's right. Hey, tell me, it killed me. I should have called you beforehand. I had to watch Texas A&M beat Missouri. Buzz Williams can just coach ball, man.
Yep.
That guy can just coach, and he beat us again. I'm getting tired of him. I need you to tell him to lay off.
I will, but give him a T-shirt. I just want to know that you did the most positive thing for my self-esteem that anybody's done in 20 years. And you know what that is? You sent me a large. You sent me a large. Last time I was a large, I had hair. That's so nice. What the hell did you think I was a large? But
I don't know. And you know what? This is going to make you really mad. I sent Wilde a large in something else, and it doesn't fit him. He's got to send it back. So I don't know. I just try to play it right down the middle for everybody.
It doesn't fit me, but it's a challenge. But I'm still happy. All right.
Hey,
I was wrong. Decoy doesn't
dry it on
fit.
high.
What?
Dry it on high. That baby will shrink right up.
I need it bigger. How do you turn a large into an extra large, huh? How?
Send it back.
No way. No, I'm not sending it back. I'll do my best, but you won't. If I don't wear it on the show when you're on, you'll know why. Next.
All good.
Southbound 894 has a hefty ride coming out of the Zoo interchange. We have the right shoulder blocked just south of Greenfield Avenue with a crash, so careful.